another episode of Control Alt Access. It's a video game accessibility video and audio podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Laura. I go by Laura K. Buzz pretty much everywhere on the internet, and I'm here as ever this week with my lovely co-host Arevya. How are you doing, Arevya?
Hi everyone. Today is the tired podcast is what it is today.
Yeah. We had a discussion like 2 days before recording this podcast because we've been saying for a couple of weeks we were going to do the GA Conf USA special episode.
Yep.
And we didn't do it last week because things got chaotic, and we were like, okay, we'll do it this time. And we were like 2 days from recording, and we were both like not ready for it.
No.
Because disability is fluctuating, and sometimes it sneaks up on you that you do not have the energy you thought you would have when you made plans.
Yes.
Yeah, like we talked about this a little bit before. There's various things going on. For me, whenever it gets dark and cold and winter comes in, like my mental health just is a bit wobbly anyway.
Yep.
But I've not got the meds I'm supposed to have at the moment, and my body decided to kind of crash after the busyness that the last month was.
Yep.
You've had a similar. Lots of things happened and just exhaustion arrived.
Yeah, and like also arthritis and cold weather is not good. So I'm like a stiff plank today, and just
I have my couple of joints that when the cold weather comes in just start to seize up and ache.
Yep.
I can tell when the weather's going that way because my knee's the first one to go.
I would be the best weather reporter ever. I'm just like, you see how stiff I am? Tomorrow it will be cold.
Yeah, it's I think there was a moment, and I wanted to talk about this before we jumped into what we played this week, because there was a moment where you asked if I was ready for the GA Conf stuff this week, and my instinctual response was to say to you, no, but I can try and do it. And we had there was that moment of stopping and going, it's okay to just say, no, I'm not up to it. Rather than going, I've got to force myself to do a thing I just don't have the brain for.
And I also think that GeoConf, because I have listened to some of the talks, and they absolutely deserve to have a proper discussion. They deserve to have our actual focus. So then it's actually better. Maybe it's not as relevant anymore because time flies really, really fast on social media. But it is still, they deserve to have a proper talk.
Yeah, we don't want to force ourselves to do a rush job to get that topic covered on a week where we're not feeling up to it, where we're going to be not practicing what we preach in terms of looking after yourself when your disability needs are what they are.
Yep.
It's okay for us to go, we're just not up for it, and that's okay.
Yep.
So we're still doing an episode this week. We've not got any news or anything, but we wanted to be here and chat about stuff we've played this week and things we have going on, even if it's going to be maybe a shorter one, a less formally structured, and not the one we planned, because sometimes that's how disability is.
It's just how it is.
So yeah, did you want to start by talking about some things you've played this week?
Yeah, so I haven't played that much actually. So on like my recovery after the wedding and the subsequent travel after that, I've just been like hyper focusing on one game and one game only, and that has been Supermarket Simulator. Again, I'm back.
That's wonderful.
They updated the game to give us like self-checkouts. So I start the day in the supermarket just by fixing the prices and buying in wares. And then I have people in the game that just puts the wares where they're supposed to be, and somebody who checks out everyone. So I literally just stand in the corner and I'm just watching a game playing itself. And I'm just like, yes, this is the only brain rot I need. This 2 weeks.
But it's brain rot that you had like a little interaction with, so it's not completely out of your hands.
No, it's not like completely AFK, but it's like a mobile game on a big screen at the moment. But to be honest, sometimes that is just what you need. I did also play Botany Manor again today. I started to do live reviews on stream. So I started doing live accessibility reviews. My big plan is to make like a sheet, like I have a Google Sheets of worksheets that is just like you could just like look at the sheet, see the accessibility you're looking for, and then there's like hundreds of games going over that I have live reviewed, and you can check it out during that on that sheet. So that's my plan. Started with it today. It was actually a big success. So that was actually really, really fun. Doing live review again. Yeah. Other than that, it's been so quiet in my life, but there is one thing I wanted to talk about that or two things I wanted to like take up, since we're not going to do like a formal news section this week, but there is two, like, not news but information I want to say, and that is that we have news coming that is sad but also happy, sort of. We have Steven Spohn, so the person behind, or at least face, of AbleGamers. After now being at AbleGamers for 20 years, put out a video saying thank you for the support, but now my time has come to do other things. And this has come a month after one of the founders also said that they are going to give the reins away, which is Mark Barlet. Gave the reins away and said they were going to step down. So AbleGamer is taking two big hits this month, most likely planned though, but they will be missed, and they deserve to get, both of them deserve to get like a, hey, this has happened. If you guys don't know about these people, I will highly recommend go and checking them out. Be two big voices who has given us one of if not the most important charity out there. AbleGamers and the other organization, Special Effects, which is two different organizations, is often what pops in minds to people's head when you talk about accessibility and organization that helps others. So I think that is sad to see them go, but I'm wishing them all the best, and I'm looking forward to what they will do next and who AbleGamers are now going to get in to take the lead and to be the face forward. I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen there.
Yeah, I am excited to see what the future brings, while also, you know, being aware that this has been a year of a lot of change in the accessibility space. It has been a very eventful year, and we'll see where it's going, I guess.
Yeah, and like 20 years is a long time. And sometimes you just need one time. It can be good for an organization to get fresh blood, and it can also be good for a person to just go, hey, I've been doing this for 20 years. I need to do something completely different. And
I was thinking about that 20 years because, like, this week is the 10-year anniversary of the longest thing I've worked on, which is the video game podcast Podquisition.
Yep.
We'll have been going for 10 years this week.
Congratulations.
And it's weird thank you. It's strange how quickly a decade can vanish, and how big a part of your life that amount of time is.
It is.
And yeah, if I was having that thought of, like, if I'm still doing this a decade from now, yeah, I can see how 20 years you might go, time for something different.
Time to do something different. But I want to wish Steven all the best of luck. I want to wish Mark all the best of luck. And I'm looking forward to see what both of you are going to do next, because I think it's going to be great things, whatever it is. I
couldn't agree more, yeah.
Also came over a small little article. It was just by coincidence. I was looking forward to get a book for learning more about accessibility. Couldn't find a book in hardcovers anywhere. Ended up sending a message on LinkedIn to the author. Here we go. Now we're going like long to get this book. This is the ways I'm willing to go to get an accessibility knowledge. And they actually recommended me something called FDG 25, which is a conference which is going to be in Vienna. And in April 15 to 18, 2025, and it is about accessibility this year.
Ooh.
So United Through Play, they're going to have a program. It is seems to be going a bit more like the actual like science route of it all.
Yeah.
But if anybody is looking forward to a conference, I am wanting to go to this. I'm like trying to pull some strings, see if somebody wants to send me down. I would be amazing.
I'll try and see if I can work anything out. Yeah, I was fascinated when we went to the London GA Conf earlier this year, and there was that one much more academically focused talk. So I was like, oh yeah. I could go for some facts and figures accessibility chat.
100%. And I'm just like, I want to like, hey, can somebody send a podcast down? Come on. Come on. Can FGD just send us down? Just like, we can do a live one from down there. I'm down.
We could go for another live episode.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. But yeah, that was actually the most like things I had from these 2 weeks. It's been a weird couple of 2 weeks. But Laura, what have you been doing?
Well, I'm going to start by talking about a thing that we can both tell people about now,
Finally.
apparently. It's another week of us telling you about games we worked on in some capacity and did consulty things on. There is a really cool game that has just come out called Sorry, We're Closed,
Yep.
that both me and Arevya did some accessibility consulting stuff on a little while back. And that I don't know if we're there today, but at some point you'll be able to see our names in the credits of that, which is pretty cool. The best way I can describe it for anyone who knows nothing about it is colourful, queer PlayStation 1 era Silent Hill.
Yes.
What if Silent Hill was about you woke up one night and a demon lady was like, you better fall in love with me or else, and then you say, nah, I'm not that interested, and she drags you into a weird alternate dimension that you're now going to fight your way through, and it's very gay.
Yeah.
It's quite a charming game, and I'm excited to give that some more time and see how it's come along since we saw it.
It's going to be cool. I don't know if our names or it's just going to be because it's a work we've done for EasySurf, or it's just going to be EasySurf's name that is there.
I believe our names are going to be in there. I think that is the situation.
If so, this is actually going to be the first ever game I will be credited in.
Yay! That's awesome!
Yeah.
Hurrah!
So I'm hoping we're actually going to get our names. I also had like a really good news this week. I've been working with a Norwegian game developer, which have gotten funding from like a really, really big thing in Norway. Let me actually check what it's official. Like, I don't know if it's governmental.
Yeah.
But they have what is it? Oh yeah, it's governmental, and they have given out money to a game company to make it more accessible. And part of that, to make it more accessible, the game they're working on, is to get in me and special effects. So I've been working next to special effects to bring accessibility to them and do accessibility consultant. And for me, we're like working on a Norwegian game. It just feels amazing. It's a game that will be out for like all languages, like English, so like everybody can play it. It's going to be amazing. It's called Life Below, and it's a sort of like a instead of a city builder, it's a reef builder, as in coral reef. And I worked on it. I've already done some work, and I will continue doing work until it is out. And I'm just like, oh my god, it feels so weird to finally, because a lot of the work we do is in like the background, and it takes years before you can talk about things. And now in like a week, I have 2 things I finally officially can talk about and like say I worked on these ones.
It's been a wild month because like I've got like I'm gonna have 3 game credits, and you've got 2 things that you've worked on. In the space of a month, we've had 5 games that we've been able to talk about working on, which is like, look at us, we're doing great.
It's fun, and it's also like showing that often I think as a gamer you can feel maybe a bit discouraged when it comes to accessibility, because you feel like, oh, but they're never adding it. And just like in the background, people can't talk about it because NDAs and contracts and stuff, but things are being done in the background. It just takes time before the audience can know about it.
We talked about the fact a little while ago that like the stuff I did on Dragon Age was I think 4 years ago.
Oh yes.
Before I could talk about it. Sometimes that's how it is, but yeah, we've worked on cool stuff, and hopefully you'll be able to see both of our names in the credits of Sorry, We're Closed soon, which will be cool.
I hope so. I'm going to play through that game then, and then cry as like a toddler when I see my name.
We can do one like I'll get a screenshot and do a circle around, and it'll be both our names in one circle, and that'll be cool.
It's so cool. But Laura, have you played something? Have you actually done some gaming and not just died?
I have done some gaming. So first thing I'm going to talk about that is interesting, and I didn't think I would have as much to say accessibility-wise about this as I do, is I've been playing the PlayStation 5 Pro this last couple of weeks. The new, slightly more powerful PS5 that they've released. And for most people, you don't need this. It's a PS5. It might look a little bit nicer, but in the kind of way that, how do I describe this? I booted up Dragon Age the Veilguard on my regular PS5 and then on the Pro, and I looked at it on the Pro and went, this looks the same, right?
Yeah.
This is how it looked before, right? And then I went back to the regular PS5 and went, oh yeah, the Pro did look nicer.
Yeah.
But it was nicer in a way where like I didn't notice it until I went back to the less nice version. So like for most people, you don't need to spend the money for that kind of incremental appearance increase. But there are a couple of things accessibility wise that I think are important to talk about, and they're mainly like specific to a couple of the launch games that had weird things about them. First of all, Silent Hill 2 Remake. I finished playing through that. I maintain what I was saying as I was playing through it, which was I don't think that the additional combat was always to its benefit, or making it a longer game was necessarily to its benefit, but I certainly wouldn't be upset if Bloober Team were announced to make another Silent Hill remake. At this point, I'm like, yeah, you did alright, you did pretty good. But don't play Silent Hill 2 Remake on the PS5 Pro.
Oh?
Because it has some, might actually be a problem issues.
Ooh.
There are some issues with the way that I think it's with how ray tracing works. Particularly, I saw it in there's an area called the Lakeview Hotel right toward the end of the game with laminated floors. The floors glitch and glitter in ways that I think might be a problem for people with photosensitivity and epilepsy issues. Some lighting effect isn't working properly, and it's causing rapidly changing lighting issues on reflecting off the floor in ways that might genuinely be a problem for people. As far as I can tell, there is no fix for it currently, and if you're playing on the Pro, you can't tell the Pro to run it in the old mode. So on a Pro, you can't stop it doing the lighting issue that could be a problem for people.
So weird though, because technically the game shouldn't be a difference. Like a Silent Hill remake should be the same for the PS and the PS Pro. They wouldn't make.
So my understanding is they took the performance mode that runs at 60 FPS and they turned on ray tracing that used to only be in the 30 FPS mode on the Pro. But the way they've moved the ray tracing over into the 60 FPS mode just isn't working. I saw someone suggest it might be that it's firing the number of rays it would if it was 30 FPS, but it's 60 FPS, and that's causing the problem to happen. I don't know the exact reasoning, but I've gone back and played on the base PS5 and gone, the issue's not there, and it is on the Pro, and people are reporting on Reddit they're having the same issue on Pro.
That's too bad, though.
Yeah. But on the other side, there are games that have, not locked frame rates that I've had motion sickness issues with on the base PS5 that I'm finding myself less motion sick with on the Pro. And that's not going to be an across-the-board thing. But if you're playing a game with, a frame rate that isn't locked very well, that is pretty fluctuating, and you're not on, a variable refresh rate monitor, so you see that fluctuation in frame rate more. If you're someone like me that finds frame rates in first-person games to be a trigger for motion sickness, it does seem to be making it more comfortable for me to play those first-person games.
That's cool.
It's a small subset of games that's going to apply to, but it is helping with some games. So right now, that's my accessibility thoughts as far as they go on PS5 Pro. But I did finish playing another game I can very quickly say. Again, reminder, I worked on it, so I'm biased, but I did finish playing through Dragon Age the Veilguard.
Yep.
And bias. I absolutely love that game.
Good.
I'm so happy with it.
Good.
I stayed up till 4:30 in the morning finishing it. On the night I finished playing it, because I got to 1 in the morning and it was like, this is the point of no return.
Yep.
Here's where the big final mission starts. And I went, it's 1 a.m. I could do the last mission. It was 4:30 when I finished, and I was like,
worth it.
Best game.
Worth it.
Yeah, worth it. It's a weird thing having worked on a small slice of a game and not knowing the bigger picture of it, and getting to go through the big finale. I got there before anyone spoiled me. And getting to have, the big final hours of it just doesn't stop, adventure. I'm so happy with it. I had such a good time playing.
But I'm glad. I'm glad.
Yeah.
All in all, whatever it is, games are supposed to be fun, and having fun with a game is so magical. It's so nice when you find a game that is just fun to play.
Yeah. Um, I'm pulling up my notes quickly. I did play some of the new Lego Horizon Adventures, the
Ooh,
Horizon Zero Dawn inspired Lego game that's just come out, which does have some accessibility stuff in it that's worth talking about.
that's cool.
Um, I'm just pulling up my little notes so I can remind myself what's going on. So they've got a bunch of options for scaling the HUD and the UI elements. Pretty good subtitle options available for things like ambient dialogue happening in the background could be subtitled, background opacity, whether conversations play automatically or only when you press a button to move on to the next bit. Um, there is some colorblindness filters. They do at least have like a you can alter the strength of the filter that's being applied, which I know is helpful for some
Yeah.
people. Um, some good stuff in there for controls, like being able to replace button holds with toggles, not having to repeatedly do button taps or repeated presses. You can make it so running is automatic, so you don't have to hold a button down to do it. Things like aim assist when you're aiming Aloy's bow to
Oh,
fire
that's
at
good.
enemies. You can have degrees of aim assist going on. Last couple. There is an overall difficulty selection option, but you've also got more general, granular stuff like turning on invincibility for the player, um, making it so that when you activate your focus, it shows you interactables and level hazards in the scene that you might want to be aware of and highlights those. Um, Making sure that if you're playing co-op and you get knocked out and revived, you come back with full health rather than only partial health. Being able to make it so that you don't have to spend some of your health to revive your co-op teammates, you can just get them back up for free. Um, yeah,
This
some pretty nice stuff.
I yeah, haven't played Lego games for a while, but I used to play them before, and this sounds like a massive leap, actually, of accessibility. Now, as I said, I haven't played like the recent one, but this sounds really good. That's a long
Yeah,
list for being a Lego game.
yeah. From what I can tell, it's a step forward for Lego, while not necessarily being where you'd expect like a PlayStation first-party game
No,
to be at with
yeah,
accessibility. Like
yeah,
some of the obvious things, you don't have like high contrast mode support there. You don't have some of those like first-party PlayStation standards. You don't have accessibility presets, for example. But it is a pretty good showing for something that is like a multi-platform Lego game, and I think that's great. I think if people have come to expect a certain degree of accessibility from PlayStation properties, I'm glad that a crossover thing is sort of getting toward that standard you would hope for.
yeah. We know like at least what. Well, I don't know want to say the word no, but I feel, which is a better word to use in this context.
Mm,
The Lego is sort of a bit like Nintendo in the way of they do what they want to do, and they do
mm,
their thing, and that is what you're getting, which is a good thing in many ways. So also seeing such a big brand sort of starting to shift a bit is one actually a bit surprising, I think, but in a positive way, and two, quite I'm quite happy about it because they have a young group of players and they introduce a new kind of players to accessibility, and I
mm.
am impressed. I actually, when you started talking, I was just like, it never ends. It never ends. There's a
Yeah.
lot of things.
It's it's got a good amount of the basic stuff you would hope for.
Yes.
The stuff for like I can't do button presses or repeat like button holds or repeated presses. It's got stuff that I struggle with aiming.
Yeah,
It's got stuff that I need the UI to be bigger. That's a good starting point
it's
for
a good
something like
starting point.
this.
Yes.
Um, Having played the game itself, I'm unsure how I feel about it. It looks gorgeous. Like, as a video game that you look at and go, that looks like real Lego pieces that I'm playing as, that's pretty cool. And it's pretty charming in its writing, if a little. It's definitely aimed toward children.
Yes. Yes.
I will give an example of the humor that will give you a sense of like where it's at. When Aloy gets her focus, the sort of technology she puts on her head to be able to see sort of technology stuff in the world. She's handed it, and she goes, "Where does this go?" And she initially tries to put it on her bottom, because of course she does, because it's a thing for children.
Okay, but I giggled there though, so.
But that's the thing. I giggled a bit. I'm like, look, it's
easy humor.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it's easy humor.
It's a little lowbrow occasionally,
Yeah.
but I've had some chuckles, and I've gone, you know what? I'm willing to turn my brain off and have fun with it. I think its biggest issue is the combat is fun. It is largely using your bow and arrow rather than melee to attack your sort of robot dinosaurs. There isn't the slowdown time mechanic that I really appreciated when aiming from the Horizon games themselves. But the bigger problem is the combat is fun. It's the stuff outside of the combat that's a bit nothing. A lot of it is walk along a nice looking, but there's not really anything to do, path to the next place you get to do fighting.
Ooh,
I
have a commentary.
I don't dislike it. It's just it feels very I'm doing this to get to more of the game in a way that's a little weird for pacing.
I have the most unpopular opinion about Horizon Zero Dawn in general, though, and that is I actually have that feeling with the original game. I never got more than like 3 to 4 hours into it. I found it dirt boring.
Look, there are moments where I love that series, but there are also moments where I feel like that series is way too big and unfocused for its own good.
Yeah, I've tried to play it. I tried to watch Let's Play. I tried to like look at just the prettiness for it. I never ever were able to get into it, and it's like I think it's one of my more unpopular opinions, but it's just an opinion. I know it's a love series, like oh my god, it's so loved. But
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah,
as someone that likes the series more than it sounds like you do, I fully see those flaws.
Yeah,
and I've dropped off of those games several times because for me, they're just too big and too open too quickly.
Yeah,
it's the problem I have with them. Is the problem I have with the first open world area in Dragon Age Inquisition, the Hinterlands. It's too big and too open too quickly, with stuff where I don't know which of it is important and which isn't, and when I'm allowed to go, it's time that I can move on with the story.
Yes.
And I shouldn't still be doing this first.
Yeah.
And I struggle with that gameplay loop.
It lacks direction, and yeah. So it's no wonder then that the Lego is a bit struggling, because the Lego games in the end is building up on another story.
Well,
yeah. So
the thing is that like whether you like it or not, like the Lego Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West do have stuff to do, like side activities to do along the way to the next bit of story and the next bit of fighting.
Yeah.
This doesn't.
No.
It's walk, do the fighting, walk, do the fighting.
Yeah.
And like I want to play more of it. I want to see if it clicks with me more. I'm not disliking it. I'm having fun with it while going, this is pretty simple, and it feels like some corners were maybe cut.
Yeah.
But other than that, quickly some other bits I played a little bit of. I started playing Mario and Luigi Brothership.
Ooh. Is it worth it? I'm thinking about buying it, but I don't know if it's worth it.
So I'm having fun with it. It's a little simple. I've played like an hour and a half so far, so I'm pretty early on. It is a turn-based RPG with overworld exploring and puzzle solving elements. And what I would say is the first hour and a half is very hand-holding, in that it's very, this is your next objective. If you try and walk somewhere other than that objective, the game will go, no, not that way. The objective's over here.
Yeah.
It doesn't take the training wheels off for at least that first hour and a half. And I kind of wanted it to give me a bit of extra room to explore.
Yeah.
Is my biggest problem with it. I enjoy the combat system, although it's taking me some getting my head around from a cognitive accessibility perspective. So it's one of those RPGs where when your attack is about to hit an enemy, you can press a button with timing to do extra damage. And early on, the way that this works is like, let's say it's Mario's turn to attack. I might press A when Mario's jumping on the enemy's head to land on the head, and then I'll be thrown towards Luigi, and I'll press B to be bounced back up in the air by Luigi, and then A again to land on the enemy's head again, and that's like my do extra damage combo. So it's
Yep.
A, B, A. Except if I'm playing as Luigi, the A and B buttons are associated with Mario and Luigi. So if I'm attacking as Luigi, I have to go B, A, B rather than A, B, A. Which means I have to remember, based on who I'm attacking with, which button I press first in that sequence.
Yeah.
And it's not a big thing, because like when the character is about to land on the enemy's head, like the button shows up and it's like, cool, yep, it's this one. But I'm so in the muscle memory of this is the 3 buttons I press to do the extra damage, and remembering to reverse it in my head is taking me a bit of time.
Yep.
Although there is one thing about this game that I think is very charming, and it's the thing that sold me on giving this some more time and giving it another shot. There is this wonderful mechanic called Luigi logic, which is Luigi will occasionally have a moment of breaking the fourth wall and solving a problem by like thinking really hard and then ignoring the rules of how video games work for a second. So, you know how in a video game you'll be like, oh, we need to get to that button, but there's like a gate with bars in front of it, and we've got to find some way to open the gate before we can go to get to the other side and press the button. Luigi spends like 30 seconds poking his head and having a really serious think, and then squeezes himself through the bars, and you just mash a button to make his bottom squeeze through that's a little too big. He has these moments of like, I'm thinking, and then he does the obvious thing that video games tell you isn't allowed.
Yep.
And that's pretty fun. Those moments have been the thing that's kept me playing.
And that's good though. I haven't actually heard that much about it. I thought it would be a bigger hooray when it came out, because I follow a lot of Nintendo people and I didn't see or hear anything. So it's, to be honest, gone past quite silent.
I don't think it helped that it came out everyone had been playing Dragon Age, and then the PS5 Pro came out. It was lots of big things came out around it. I'm having fun with it. I want to see if it will let me stretch my legs a bit soon.
Yeah.
I've played like an hour and a half, and I want it to give me a bit of freedom to play around.
Yeah.
And lastly, I started playing Super Mario Party Jamboree.
Yay!
Which I've played the 4 basic courses I've played now.
Mm-hmm.
What is there? There's the big shopping center, the racetrack with the go-karts, the one with the Wiggler caterpillar crawling around, and what's the other one? Oh, the volcano.
The volcano, yeah.
I really like the idea of the race cars one, where you have lots of abilities to get dice that move you really far, really fast.
Yep.
Frequently available. The shopping center, a 10-round game wasn't long enough.
No.
It felt like we barely got to the star once before it was over. Like, it just felt like it needed a longer play session just because of the size of the map.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the one with the tides coming in and out and the volcano. I just wish there was more of a way to escape if you got trapped in a really small space, rather than just waiting a few turns to be able to get on with things again.
Yeah, I can see that one. I think that one is fun to play if you play with mean spirit in a good way kind of people.
Yeah.
That like you need a bantering in with that one, which we have had on some streams, and then it has been fun, because then you're not just working toward getting the star, you're working towards not making sure nobody else gets it, and then it's fun.
Yeah.
And then it gets up to be a really, really fun map. But yeah.
Yeah, I can see the fun in it. I definitely had a decent time. I'm still not sure how I feel about the new way that allies are handled with you have to get to them on the map, and then you play like a 5-minute long big mini game.
Yeah.
Because it feels like it's really easy to like make one big mistake in one of those mini games early on and go, I'm not going to win this one now, but now I have to play it for like nearly 5 minutes knowing I'm not going to win. Or even if it's close, it's like you play for like 5 minutes and it's like, and I got nothing out of that.
I also
can be a weird feeling.
I sort of wish that the allies, we could still have allies, but you could turn off if they were going to be playable. Like if you had to play for them, or if you could just do first person, first serve kind of deal. Just the
Yeah,
one who walks past the ally gets them.
I really liked the way they worked in Super Mario Party, where they were permanent and they gave you a different kind of dice that you could play with. Like I do like this new one that you can buy twice as many things at shops,
Yeah.
or twice as many stars, or good or bad spaces happen to you twice. The first time I landed on a Bowser space with an ally, and I realized I had to roll the Bowser wheel twice. I was like, oh, that is kind of fun, but like, I wish they stuck around longer.
Yeah.
I wish there was an option to not have such a lengthy minigame to get them. I wish there were more options to customize how they worked.
Yeah, that is the thing with Nintendo. Hey, Nintendo, can we get options? And Nintendo went, no.
Exactly.
That's Nintendo. And yeah, for me, it's one of the best Mario Party they have ever made. Their minigames are good. I really, really enjoy that you can turn on and off the minigames and motions and stuff like that. But yeah, it's Nintendo.
I'm happy to have it in my rotation of Mario parties. Yeah. I can see it not necessarily replacing Super Mario Party entirely for me.
Oh.
There are going to be times where I'm like, I want the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's about it for stuff I've played this week.
Yeah.
Shall we start wrapping it up here? I guess.
I think so.
Well, Arevya, where are you out on the internet? Where can people find you and the stuff you're up to?
Everybody can find me under the name Arevya, except for TikTok, because somebody stole my name. There I am, Arevya Gaming. And lately, it's just been a lot of accessibility work. Every Wednesday, I stream accessibility theory. So then we learn about accessibility. And now every Sunday, we will do accessibility in practice. So then we will play a game and we'll use that theory to understand what it is. So if you want to learn more accessibility, there's a way to go. Yeah, I will have some things. Again, there's just a lot of things happening in December, but I can't talk about them yet.
Yeah.
So that's just what it is. But yeah, Laura, where can I find you?
I can be found at Laura K Buzz pretty much everywhere you find people on the internet. I'm currently streaming through Dragon Age of the Veilguard on Twitch, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at about 10 p.m. UK, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. You can check out the newest episode of Accessibility, where instead of talking about accessibility in a video game, I talk about a board game, Joyride, the one of the games that's been published by Rebellion, the video game publishers, have Rebellion Unplugged, which is their board game label. And they're doing really good stuff in terms of like talking about on their website accessibility of their board game. And it was an excuse for me to go, hey, let's talk about another genre of game that I spend a lot of time doing but don't talk about accessibility in a lot.
Yeah.
So you can go check that out. Laura K Buzz, you'll find all of the things I'm up to. Yeah, I think that's everything for this week. Thank you everyone for watching.
I'll see you later. Bye!